Hi, singers. Welcome back to the Sing Confidently Live Creatively podcast. Estelle here today. We're talking about belting, and we're not going to just talk about it. We're going to do some exercises that you can sing along with to start to help you develop a strong, healthy belt that doesn't feel strained and doesn't feel tight. Okay. So, first of all, I'm going to get into what is belting and then chat about that a little bit. And then we'll talk about mixing versus belting. What does that even mean? If you haven't listened to my episodes on mixing, you can scroll back and listen to them. I don't have them right in front of me right now, but you can scroll back and listen. I have multiple episodes on like chest voice and head voice. And I did a recent one on like vowel modification. That's episode 258 on mixed belting. But today I'm going to just focus on more of like getting to the more belted sound. And yeah, and then we will go into what are some things to think about that are helpful when it comes to developing a belt, and then we'll do some exercises. All right, so we got a lot to do. First, I just want to remind you that, hey, if you've never left a review for this show and you've listened before, I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the podcast? What do you like? What do you want to know more about? What do you want to learn more about? It really helps me for you to leave a review. And I just gently ask that you try to take 30 seconds out of your day. I know, we're busy. It's a lot to ask, but please, if you don't mind, I'd love for you to scroll down to the bottom of this show on Apple Podcasts where it says ratings and reviews and just leave a review for me. Just leave a review of whatever you think of this podcast, hopefully positive, but leave your thoughts and share with me what you love about it. And if you want to know more or if you have a question, ask it in the review. I'm going to read it and I'll know and I'll be able to respond to you. Okay. So definitely leave a review if you've never left one. And if it's your first time, hey, I'm so excited that you are here. I'm a singer, voice teacher, and music teacher. And I'm so excited to continue to help you, performing artists who are in wanting to be intentional about becoming confident in your voice and who you are as a performer. I'm excited to help you on this journey that I'm also on. We're in this together over here, okay? So come connect with me at creativelybyestelle.com/community. There are some community pages, and I would love to connect with you over there. Again, that's creativelybyestelle.com/community. If it's your first time here, definitely go check that out if you haven't. And I would love to connect with you over there. All right, let's get into the episode. So, what is belting? In a very simple way of putting it, it is a called out sound. It is a called out sung sound, a sound that is powerful with plenty of volume, but is being sung and sometimes it can come across as like being shouted, but it's not shouting. When it's done well, when it's done in a healthy way, it's not shouting. It can be a beautiful, very free feeling of like releasing so much volume at a time at one time, um, and really kind of letting go. And so when you get to that point of like having that healthy belted sound, which we're still working on making it even more consistently, but when you have that sound, it feels so good and it should feel good and sound good as well. So it's a called out, very loud, powerful, sung sound is the way that I would describe it. When it comes to mixing, so if you never heard the term mix can sometimes have different connotations. So when you think about the different registers of the voice, which I've talked about in past episodes, scroll on back, you guys, scroll back if you haven't listened to them. But the chest voice is also described as your lower register, also described as so many other terms that I'm not going to get into because I've talked about that in other episodes. But that is your lower register. That's more heavy. Your vocal folds are thicker down there versus in full head voice, your vocal folds are very thin, it's lighter, and there's another muscle that's more dominant in that head voice register than in your chest voice register, though both are still engaged. And so when you are in between those registers, some there are for female singers, for female assigned at birth singers, there are two breaks in our voices that are called passagios as you come out of that full chest voice sound into sometimes what's called a middle voice or a mixed voice. And that part of your voice can be more dominated by your head voice. And typically when we're younger, it is more head voice. It's more light. It's not super strong. It's not super heavy. especially, I mean, and by younger I mean particularly in like the teenage years as your voice is changing. So but as adults, as adult women, we can, our voices are a little more settled by the time you reach 25, around 25 or so. Your voice is more settled, your larynx is more settled, and not growing as much or as quickly, or really as much at all. I believe research says not at all. And so yeah, you get to kind of like play with like different sounds and stuff because your voice isn't changing as much. And so you have, this more settled voice to handle to deal with. And so in that middle area where you're not in, you can play around with not being in full head voice, and you can play around with incorporating more of your chest voice. And so even though your vocal folds do need to get thinner as you get into higher notes, you can still keep more some of that closure of your vocal folds, which will help to create a strong sound. And then you can also do some acoustic things, which is changing your throat and your mouth shape to change how that the sound that you're creating sounds, to make it sound more powerful, to make it sound more loud, and different things like that, different tonal qualities that can change. And so that's what happens when you're mixing. When you're mixing, it's a great place to start to develop a strong belt because you don't need to strain, you don't need to try to pull up your chest voice, so to speak, to pull that up to higher notes, which is typically what we think of when you have a full belt. Like when you're thinking full belt, you are in your chest voice, but singing a note like, let's see, in chest voice, okay, singing, this is E4. Let me turn on my original sound. I'm turning on my original sound, so things might be louder. You might hear my laundry in the background. Sorry. Um, but if you can hear that, if you're pulling up chest voice from full chest voice right here, me, right? You can hear that is I'm still in full chest voice. My vocal folds are very much still thick there. Me. That's me pulling up chest voice to G4 on the piano. That is like very much a spot in the voice, in the female voice, where you could be doing more light. You can lighten it if you want to. You could flip to full head voice there if you really wanted to. Or you can stay in full chest voice there, which is what I was just doing just now. And that's already feeling like it's a little bit shaky. Um, but what you could do is you could start to mix, and developing a mix is something that's super helpful through that middle part of the voice, and through higher notes that you can take that mix up higher, allowing you to keep qualities of your chest voice, that stronger sound, that more powerful sound, even on higher notes. So then I can go up to me, and that is a mix. That is not full belt. I am not in the full belt up there. I'm not in full chest voice up there. Absolutely not. That's a C5. I'm not in full chest voice there. I'm definitely mixing. I should have given you a sound warning. I hope that wasn't too loud. So sorry. But that was mixing up there on that top note. And I did that on an E. I'll talk about vowels in a second, but that's where that was. And that was a mix. So that is coordinating a little bit of that quality of your chest voice where you have that closure of your vocal folds, but you're not going to be quite as thick on higher notes because your vocal folds have to get thinner in order to get to higher notes. And that's where this other muscle that helps thin out your vocal folds comes into play in your head voice register. So mixing is kind of mixing together qualities of both and coordinating those muscles in a way that allows them to work together, so that your voices sounds a little bit more smooth and connected, and that you can have a nice strong sound even on that C5 up there. So what is helpful when it comes to this? We're going to get to our exercises in just a moment, but what is helpful to think about is, first of all, we talked about closure of your vocal folds, so having that nice closed vocal fold. So everyone, can you sing with me? E, E, E. This is just a random note that I'm choosing. E, E, E. Can you sing that with me? E, E, E. I'm adding a little bit of vocal fry at the beginning because then towards the middle and end of that note, you can really hear that strong closure of the vocal folds where there's a lot of support. There's a lot of breath pressure underneath the vocal folds because those vocal folds are closed. And there isn't as much air going through. Versus if I say he, I'm adding a little H in the front. That's a lot of air going through my vocal folds. Not as much closure, not as much my vocal folds aren't closing as much. There's more air going through. Okay. So what is helpful for that strong sound is definitely not the air, right? It's more of that air pressure under the vocal folds as they close. So that closure is really important. What also helps is forward resonance, which is just that feeling of like your sound is going directly to the front of your mouth, and there's more resonance towards the front of your mouth versus the voice resonating more towards the back of the mouth and the throat. So having that more forward sound, so hey, hey, versus hey, hey. That one that I just did, the second one, it sounds airy, but it's also in the back of my throat versus the first one. Okay. Another thing is speech like quality, so more speechy. Again, with the hey, 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 right? And then the last thing is vowel modification. So having more of a front open vowel like ah and a. Those are great places to start when you're developing a belt. All right, so let's do a few exercises to help us with all these things that I just mentioned. The first one to help us with forward resonance, and I guess a little bit of chord closure too, is ma, me, ma, me, ma. Okay, and I'm going to lead you through this now. My original sound for musicians is on Zoom, so you should definitely hear me singing. So this one goes, I'm starting in chest voice, and we're going to go up a little bit. It goes, ma, me, ma, me, ma. Can you sing that with me? Ma, me, ma, me, ma, going up. 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 Ma, me, ma, me, ma, take it up. Ma, me, ma, me, ma. Good. That top note was A4, so not quite getting to that high to the C5 that I was singing earlier, but almost getting there. So let's do two more, or a few more. Ma, me, ma, me, ma. Let's do one more. Ma, me, ma, me, ma. Good. So that ma, me, that's already, we're even getting vowel modification. That A that we're getting in there is good for more, but it's helping you with that forward resonance and then nice chord closure as well with the M, ma, me, ma, me, ma. Okay, so that's a great warm up to do, and you can go back down. You can try that again. Totally up to you. And the next exercise that I want to share with you is one that I actually got from Allie Mae Carnes of the Allie Mae Carnes Studio, where I am a freelance voice teacher. She's been on my podcast before. You guys should scroll back to her episode. Oh my goodness, what was that episode? It was earlier this year. She was on my podcast. Let's see, that was episode number 206, episode number 206. Interview with Allie Mae Carnes, and she introduced me to this exercise to use with some of my younger students. But honestly, I love it for adults too. I think it's a great way to incorporate speechiness and that speech-like quality into singing, and that's what we need when it comes to belting. So this one goes, Batman, that's mine. Okay, we're gonna sing it like this. Batman, that's mine, like you're talking to someone, almost like you're speaking. Don't get out of that speechy feel as you sing this. Here we go. Batman, that's mine, going up. Batman, that's mine, going up. Batman, that's mine. Batman, that's mine. Batman, that's mine. Keep it speechy. Batman, that's mine. Batman, that's mine. Batman, that's mine. Batman, that's mine. Yeah, you can hear me kind of needing to lean into it a little bit more and slow it down a little bit to help me to stay in that forward resonance space and that speechiness, okay? All right, Or actually, the next one I'm going to do, I got from one of my teachers, one of my professors at Columbia this summer, Mojo. We did this one together, and it's a great one for connecting the singing to speech. So we're going to do this coming down the scale. Let's start here. Let's start right here. It goes, I know, I know, I know, I know, duh. And then you say duh like you're speaking. So we're going to sing it. It goes, I know, I know, I know, I know, duh. Okay, let's try that together. I know, I know, I know, I know, duh. Going down. I know, I know, I know, I know, duh. I know, I know, I know, I know, duh. Okay, keep that speechiness. I know, I know, I know, I know, duh. I know, I know, I know, I know, duh. I know, I know, I know, I know, duh. And you can keep going down or up with that one. Any of my voice students from this summer, you guys might remember this because I definitely did this with some of my students. But I took it from my professor. Thank you, professor. All right. Last but not least, this one is focusing on vowel modification and how vowel modification helps you when it comes to belting. So it goes yaw, 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 nice and long, very more of like a classical singing configuration of the mouth. Nice and long vowels, ah, ah, ah. More open back vowels, so more space in the back of your mouth, versus yeah, 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 where you have this nice, really open, wider space in the front of your mouth. So you're going to do both of them back to back. Here we go. Yaw, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. 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 You can hear how much louder the yeah sounds, right? Let's do one more. Ooh, jumped up the octave. That's very high. Here we go. Yeah, 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 yeah. And you could definitely hear me mixing on the top notes. It's not a full chest voice belt up there. Absolutely not. So those are a few exercises that you can go back and try. Again, the ma, ma for more forward resonance and chord closure. Batman, that's mine. And I know, duh, for more of that speech-like quality. And then the ya versus yeah for more of that vowel modification to help you to start to explore belting, creating that powerful called out sound, even on higher notes, by first developing a nice, strong mix so that your belt doesn't feel strained. It's more of using acoustic measures like changing the vowel, changing the shape of your mouth through forward resonance, vowel modification, speech like singing to help you so that you're not straining and pulling your chest voice up, but instead you're having a nice mix of a little bit of chest voice feel with a little bit of that head voice feel. So I hope that helps you use these exercises. I know I was talking a lot in between, but go back and use these exercises again and again. And if you really love them and you really want me to make a whole separate episode with just the belting exercises by themselves, then you gotta tell me, girl. You gotta tell me, leave a review down below if you want me to make just belting exercises without me talking in between, and I would do that just for you. Just for you. Even if one of you leaves a review, I'll do it just for you. So please go scroll down, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or you can come join me on my community page. Go to creativelybyestelle.com/community to join the Facebook or the Instagram community and just post in there if you would like just belting exercises, and I can put these in just a belting exercise podcast for you guys, or like a free download or something for you guys. So let me know what you think of today's episode. I hope this helps you. Happy belting. Thank you so much for being here. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode and to this show. I'm so in awe of you for being here and showing up for your creative gifts. That takes courage. Don't forget to join the Performing Arts community on Facebook for support and inspiration as you continue on your journey. If this episode helped or inspired you in any way, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share it with someone. It means so much. Thank you again, and don't forget to keep singing, acting, dancing, performing, and living creatively. Talk to you next time.